right. Hey, Chad, how's it going?
I'm good, Neal. Excited for a new episode. Like we promised our listeners, we're going to try to get a little bit more consistent. I know we have a couple lined up.
Absolutely, we do. Let's get into, on the other side of this, talk about the healing place.
Let's go.
Recorded live from Louisville, it's Talk About Town, the Louisville podcast. And now, your hosts, Neal Cox and Chad Hennessy.
Hey, Ron White here. I'm nowhere to be found. You're listening to Talk About Town, like I give a...
All right, we've got Keenan here with us, development, right,
Yes.
for the healing place.
Yes.
And I imagine some folks might be watching this that have not even heard of the healing place. So why don't we start with what is it?
Okay, great. So the Healing Place, it started in 1989. So we have been around for 33 years. We are a recovery program, and we have a variety of different programs. In 1989, we started as a homeless shelter, and that slowly turned into realizing that the two factors in homelessness were mental health and addiction. So we developed a long-term recovery program. And so that's turned into just basically meeting the needs of the community. So along with our long-term inpatient recovery program, we have an intensive outpatient program, which is for people that are still working and they still want to go to some sort of treatment. So we do that. We have a homeless shelter. We have a detox. We have a women's program, a men's program, and then a program in Campbellsville. So our men's program is on 10th and Market, and we have room for about 426 men. And then our women's campus is at 15th and Hill. We have 250 women. And then we have a campus in Campbellsville that has 100. So we can serve 1,000 people on a daily basis. And just last year alone, we served 700 individuals that came through our program and did different parts of our program.
It's my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, isn't it free to patients?
Yeah, it's at no cost to the client. So you can walk in the door and not have insurance or anything like that. And you can walk in the door and you don't have to have anything. We'll provide you with everything you need to get sober. We try to knock out any barrier that we need to make sure that we get you to a place where you can, have a great life and do that in recovery as well. So different programs are all different, but our long-term recovery program is at no cost to the client.
That's awesome.
That's great.
Yeah, it's great.
So I guess funding and everything is just done through
grants, individuals, foundations.
Does Louisville fund it at all?
We get a little bit of money from Louisville, and we have to apply for certain grants when they come out, and that's where we get a little bit of funding for that. And a lot of times the funding we get from Louisville is for different programs that we start, or for our detox. We get like a daily per diem and stuff like that, and all that comes through the state, but we do have to apply for a lot of that stuff as well.
Right. So I'll be transparent here. I think I've even mentioned it on our show before, but in the year 2000, I was 23 years old and sought help to stop drinking. And I have not had a drink since then. So it works. I did not go through the healing place, although I did a short inpatient stint to detox and then intensive outpatient, and continued with a program that I won't reveal the name of because I'm not going to tell you that I'm a member.
Yeah. Yes, me too. Yes. No, I think that's great. I got sober in 2015, and I had tried a couple other things. I had tried some new drugs that were on the market that I thought that would be really great, and it turned out to be awful. I had a 4-year really bad downhill spiral, and thank goodness for my parents because they really looked into all this stuff, and I'm from Louisville, so they were like, hey, there's this program that we've heard a lot of people that have had success in, and they were like, you're gonna go away for a year, and I just I thought they were crazy, but it was. A healing place is amazing. It was the best thing that could have ever happened to me. And then right after I finished the program, I started working in development, and I realized that I'm not great with the clients and working. one-on-one with clients, but I'm really good at talking about the Healing Place and promoting it to the community, and then asking people for money to support our program too. So my role in development is still a big part of the Healing Place.
Yeah.
It's not one-on-one with clients like that.
So once you went through recovery, did you begin working for them and staying? I mean, it was just a continuous process?
Yeah, I moved out of the Healing Place on October 15th, and because I was living there, and
Did you live there a year?
I did a full year.
Wow.
And it was great. It was like college. Because we had I had gotten to the part of the program I had like almost like a dorm room. It was a lot nicer than the dorm room I had in college, but like it was great. I had a group of women that I loved and that like supported every decision, and when I was making stupid decisions they told me. And I miss some days I miss that.
Camaraderie.
Yeah, like I do, but so I moved out of the Healing Place, and I immediately started working there that next Monday, which was October 18th. And so I'll be there 7 years. Yeah, 7 years working at the Healing Place.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think back to that and some of the relationships that you form kind of early sobriety and stuff there. I mean, that was 23 years ago, and there are relationships that still going today, people that I don't see very often or talk to very often, but when you see them, it's on. It's like you never left.
Yeah. I have a 9-year-old daughter, and she was a baby when I started into the Healing Place because my family knew like I needed to do something, and I thought having a child would make me stop. And it didn't. So my daughter spent the first year living with my parents. They took care of her while I got sober. And then as soon as I got done with the Healing Place, I got full custody back as a single mother. And those women that I went through the Healing Place with, there's like a group of 6 of us, and I wouldn't have stayed sober if it wasn't for them. And I wouldn't be such a good mother today if it wasn't for those women, because they came and they parented my child when I had to go to meetings. We all took turns. I mean, all those women, I'm so grateful for them because they have raised my 9-year-old, and she calls them their aunts, and we still talk every day in some aspect about something. So it's just those bonds you build. And we've all stayed sober, which is really cool. And, they're family. They're closer than I am to a lot of my family.
Keenan, I would have to think that that's probably one of the angles that the Healing Place really promotes is the continuity, the relationships, the bonding, and the leaning on one another to help the high success ratio, I would have to think. We
ask we call them brothers and sisters when they're in the program. But one of our big things is leaning and asking for help. It's really cool because I work on the men's campus, so I see this and I see the clients come in, and these clients, we've seen people that are living under the overpass on 10th and Market, and they will walk in and have nothing. They have to be so humble to come in this program, and if they want to smoke a cigarette, they have to ask somebody for a cigarette. They want clothes, they need something, and they can't get into like our donation closet, then they have to ask their brothers for this. And you just see these men that come in broken, and then them meeting these guys, and then just them building themselves back up. And we say that we're going to love you back to life down there. And that doesn't really mean the staff. That means all the other people that are in our program, because it's a peer-driven program. So this guy who has 6 months is going to show the guy who just walked in the door how he did it and how it's possible to do.
Mm-hmm.
It makes total sense.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great.
It does. I have found that, once there's so much goodness and intelligence that just gets buried by addiction, not to be too esoteric here, but they kind of say like if you just take away the alcohol or the drugs or whatever, you've still got an addict that's just dry or whatever. And so it's that work kind of on themselves that's real important. But I mean, people will walk to the end of the earth for other addicts in recovery. Yeah.
Yes. We say that you don't have like a heroin addiction. You don't have an addiction to alcohol. That is just a drug. But really what it is the mental things that are going on. So you have addictive behaviors, and that's what it's a behavior modification program. So once you get rid of the drugs and the alcohol, you're still left with yourself. And something in those behaviors led you to your addiction. And you're going to spend a year down at the healing place trying to figure out what that is and how to change those behaviors. You have to change everything about yourself.
Hey guys, real quick, and we'll let you get back to the episode. We've had an awesome time doing all of these. We continue to keep doing it. Just want to introduce ourselves a little bit. I'm Neal Cox. We're both Louisville natives. I sell real estate. I can get the most eyes on your listing. I'll show you my marketing plan. I work with buyers too.
Chad Hennessy with InsurMax. Just celebrated my 23rd anniversary as an independent agent. I know your rates are going up. Our rates in the companies that we represent are just, it's a hard market, but we shop. We have options. We'd love to help you out in your business insurance or your home and auto insurance.
Let's get back to the episode.
I told you the story of when we first met, when you walked in, about my fraternity brother that, well, may he rest in peace. He unfortunately passed several years after getting sober, but he was so proud of himself, and we were proud of him. We didn't even know he was in town, but he was in town for a full year before he made contact with anyone once he got out, and he went to work for the healing place. But it was funny. I hadn't seen him, and he was a skinny, normal-looking guy, but when we saw him, he was huge. He was buffed. No, he was buffed. So what he did was he took his addiction to the weight room, and he would work out. He said he was in the gym for 3 to 4 hours a day. He translated from alcohol to lifting weights.
Yeah.
We couldn't believe he looked like a wrestler almost to a degree. But when you talk about the mental, I mean, he just moved it to another place, I suppose.
Yeah.
But he even said that. He goes, I can't stop working out. I work out nonstop. And unfortunately, got sick a couple years later, but very proud. He was about 3 to 4 years sober.
That's great.
Better replacing with some positive kind of habit. It's funny. There are things, little habits that stick around too. Like if I have a glass of water, a cup of coffee or something, I don't leave it half drank ever. I mean, it's so weird. Like never.
Yeah.
It's those little things that call back to kind of the old life.
Yeah.
That is just crazy. And I know through a program that will remain nameless, the relief that I found after doing the work prescribed in their textbook, it's hard to describe how amazing it was. I mean, it was overnight. I had what they refer to as a spiritual awakening.
Yeah.
And it was, I don't know, it's indescribable if you don't know what that's like.
Yeah. I wish that I had traded drugs for working out. But unfortunately mine transferred to shopping and Diet Coke. So like that's sucky. You don't really get to pick. But yeah, I notice addictive behaviors in almost everything that I do. And I hate that about myself. And I wish that like it was like Passages Malibu where they just say you're cured. You don't have anything left. But yeah, that spiritual awakening was just, I remember being in the program one day and I was like working in laundry and we had to do all the clients' laundry. And something just changed in me that day because the day before I was leaving, I wanted to go home and go, be a mom and do all this stuff that I couldn't do if I didn't have sobriety. But in my head, I was like, I'm leaving. And then one day I woke up and I was having a bad day and I had all these people around me. And I was like, I guess it's working because I'm happy. And I hadn't been able to wake up and be happy in 4 years of my life. And I didn't know what that felt like. Yeah. But it is really cool because I do hang out with people in the neighborhood I just moved out of. There we had parties all the time, and they were all like young moms too, and we would all like be with our husbands and like hang out. And I'm divorced now, but like we would all do that, and they would not wake up, and they would be so tired when they woke up the next day. And like I'm out there like cleaning the lawns and like sweeping. I'm like, oh, you guys feel bad? Like I don't drink, so good for me. So. I do feel pretty like I feel good when I don't feel awful every morning and I don't have to take Advil for a hangover. Yeah. So it is a nice part of it too.
I think it's crazy. You don't realize how bad you feel when that's your daily reality.
Probably becomes a norm, I assume.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then just the amount of energy that you get back and clarity and intelligence and I think the emotional intelligence takes a little while. I started drinking probably, my early teens, and they kind of say your emotional development is then stunted when that happens.
Yeah.
And so here I was like 23 years old and thinking like a 15, 16-year-old.
Yeah.
And made some decisions fairly early in sobriety that if I had it to do over again, I may have made a different decision, but the end result is where I am now. Mm-hmm. So, hey, it's all good.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think I had the mentality of like a young teenager when I didn't really drink that much in high school, but I was 20, maybe 19 when I had my first try of drugs. And I just know that it was stunted because like as soon as I got out of the healing place, I made really stupid decisions really fast that I thought were going to be great for me in my life. And then as I get older and think about like, that was stupid. Why did you do that? And, but I feel like that's a little part of life too. But as drug addicts, we want everything quick and fast. And no matter how long we have sober, it's still, looking for instant gratification.
There's very few families, I'm sure, out there that are not impacted one way or another to, those that they love very much with addiction. Keenan, working there and being a professional with the healing place, do you find that even families are possibly in denial?
Yes. That is a huge thing. I have talked to so many parents, mostly mothers, who they think that I just had a phone call with somebody 2 weeks ago who said that their child, they had found a substance that looked like ice. And they said that their child had only done it on the weekends, but they didn't have a house. They didn't have anywhere to go, but they were positive that it was just something they did on the weekends. And how do you explain to a mother, like, oh, you're not going to just go out and buy that, like, just to play with on the weekends? And they don't understand because you want to think that your child would never do something like that and that it couldn't be your child. And, if you grew up in a nice neighborhood, like, no, that would never happen. It doesn't even matter where you grew up. It's all, there's no,
It's everywhere.
It's everywhere. But yeah, it's really hard to talk to parents about it too. That's a big thing for me because my mom is super involved in the healing place. And, she really got involved like with the parent portion of the healing place when I got sober and started to like talk to other parents. And because for me, it's really hard to do that. They want to, when their child's in the program, they want to call and check on their child and make sure they're doing good. And you can't reveal any of that information because of, HIPAA laws and just because your child's in there. So, but yeah, parents, they just don't think it can happen to their child. And then it does. And something really bad can happen if they don't realize that.
Yeah. I had some thoughts about that recently that was just like, whoa, because my kids, I've got 3 kids, 18, 15, 13. So when I was their age, 13, my kids in 8th grade, I had my first drink in 7th grade. And I do not think he has, and he is such a different kid than I am. All 3 of them, my oldest is a freshman in college, and he's like, oh, I'm kind of bored. I'm like, this was amazing to me because I could drink and use without somebody over my shoulder all the time.
Yeah.
And it's like oh my gosh, what would I do if my kid were to get that? And you cannot force that person to do anything. I mean, I guess you got dropped off for a year.
Yeah.
But I know a lot of folks that are court ordered or are going for whatever reason, and it doesn't work.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to play off too. I feel like some people that I know, if it's ordered, maybe they're not ready to accept it. It's someone else, an authority of some sort, whether it be a family member or authority, a figure of, maybe of the law. The individual maybe isn't ready to accept what's gonna take. I mean, to me, maybe I'm wrong, but I've always heard, rock bottom. There is no rock bottom unless you're buried under the ground. That's rock bottom at that point.
Yeah, you can always go lower.
Yeah, you can it's bad. Yeah. And actually, this is pretty cool. So we have people that are court ordered by Department of Corrections. We have people that are Casey's Law ordered in, and I can talk more about that too. That's a pretty cool law if you want to get your child or your loved one into a program.
Oh,
you
wow.
can force them into it by taking out Casey's Law. But there are people like CPS has ordered them to go there, or it's part of their probation or parole. And those people that come into the program compared to those people that are not court ordered or anything, they have the exact same success rate.
Really?
Yeah.
Great to hear.
Yeah, it is, and it's impressive. And we think it's because once they get to that point and they realize that, my life is better without doing drugs. It's great. It's really cool to see somebody like with an ankle monitor on, and they come into the program, and you think like as soon as they get that thing off, they're gonna leave, and then they stick around, they get sober, and come back and sponsor guys or the women, and it's great. It's great to see that. So sometimes it takes that push.
Yeah.
CPS told me that I was going to lose custody of my daughter if I didn't do something. And so that was the push that I needed. And at first I was only doing it for CPS. And, and then 3 months in, I decided that I probably shouldn't be using drugs anymore. So
That's awesome.
yeah. Yeah.
Is there an age limitation? Do you have to be 18?
18.
Okay.
Yep.
That's what I assumed.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, tell us a little about that Casey's Law. 'Cause
yeah.
I don't know about it.
Casey's Law is great. I know that they've changed a little bit about this, but I think it was started by a mother who had lost a child, and I could be wrong about that. But so Casey's Law is something you can go down and file it at the courthouse when it comes to your child or somebody that you take care of. I think you have to be a direct family member to do it, but you go and file a petition, and you court order that person to go to rehab, or they go to jail. So it's really bad. The kids hate that. But they get subpoenaed, they go to court, and if they say, I'm not going to rehab, then they go to jail. And I think it's great. I think it's brilliant. Like, and
And you're referred to them as kids. You're talking about individuals in their 20s, possibly.
oh yeah,
30s,
not
or-
kids, but kids to their
They're-
parents. Yeah.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. So anybody 18 and above, and I don't know what the age limit is on Casey's Law, but we have seen a lot of people that were forced to come because of Casey's Law, and it ends up working out, and they realize they do want help and they do need help.
Yeah. How long has that been on the books?
I feel like it's 8 or 9 years. I
Okay.
feel like, and they don't talk about it enough. And I don't really know if there's a reason why they don't talk about it, but I think it's great, and I recommend it to parents that are like, I don't know what to do. I think looking into Casey's Law, if you're serious about getting your child and helping your child, and they're grown up, so they have that option. Look into Casey's Law and see what it takes to file it.
Is that CASEY or is it?
I don't know. I think I don't know.
Google it.
Yeah.
We'll Google it.
Yeah.
Do you have to present any evidence, or do you just say, hey, my kid is a mess?
I think you have to present evidence to the court. I'm not sure what that evidence is, but I knew somebody who took it out. It was a family member of mine who took it out, and they had to present just a few things, and then the kid got ordered to not kid.
Yeah,
my
sure,
age,
sure.
got ordered to 90 days, and you actually get to pick the place that you want your kid to go if you know of somewhere. If not, they'll just recommend what's best.
Is there a consulting service for those that are like for family members who, like the healing place, say, hey, can we? I'm making this up. This so and so, my friend, my son, whatever you want to say. Like for them to come in and say, is this the right move? Or I don't know if that's.
Well, we really don't have anything like that, but pretty much everybody that's in recovery and works at the healing place, if you get a phone call that's like, hey, I need some advice, my son is doing this or my daughter's doing this, any one of us that are in recovery will kind of tell you what to do. You can hire like an interventionist. And I know that, I have some friends that are interventionists, and they will come to the house and help them get them into treatment and take them. So that's an option. But if you ever just call down to the healing place and you're like, I just need some advice on what to do with my child, they'll probably transfer you to somebody that works in detox. But we get random phone calls too, just about what to do with my child, or what to do with my husband or wife. And
there's also Al-Anon out there,
yeah.
Correct.
which is
Yep.
which is a 12-step program modeled after Alcoholics Anonymous for friends and family of people suffering from addiction.
And Al-Anon's great. It how really teaches you that it's not your fault that your child's like that, and how how to deal with them, but really not even how to deal with them, but how to deal with yourself so you can be better for them too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's crazy, that family dynamic. I have a friend, I'll be pretty vague because we're still friends. He started trying to get sober around the same time as me. And throughout these past 20 plus years, the varying degrees of success, he's put years together, and then he's also just, been a mess, strung out on whatever. And one thing I notice is mom's always there to kind of, oh, well, you can stay here. Oh, well, I'll do this. Oh, well, I'll do that. Although I do know that he attended his daughter's graduation just in this past spring, and that's huge because there's a time where that just would never have happened. So I think he's doing better, but I really do feel like a little bit more tough love may have gotten him to an even better place.
Yeah.
And that's so hard.
Oh yeah. How do you tell your child like you're done with them?
Yeah.
It's awful. My mom went to Al-Anon before she took me to the healing place. And then she went to a counseling center for parents. Her and my dad went, and they're divorced. They've been divorced since I was 8, but they did it together to get me. I'm an only child. So they pulled together and they were like, hey, we're not going to support you. They were paying for like an apartment for me and everything. They're like, we're done. We're done doing that. You got to go to this program. And I was like, you guys hate me. You hate me so much. You're making me go to rehab. So I'm really grateful for them.
Of course.
Yeah. And for Al-Anon.
What can the community do? A lot of people, Neal, you made a comment, maybe don't know about the healing place, or they do. Mm-hmm. But is there any community outreach in regards to support, or as silly as in question? How many people just dump clothes off at the DAV or the Goodwill? That might be a wonderful donation center.
Yeah. So we have clothing closets. And like I was saying, when somebody comes in off the streets or they just don't have anything, a lot of people are sent in from Department of Corrections, and they literally come with a Kroger bag full of stuff. So our women's and our men's campus both take donations. We're always looking for coats, shoes, basically anything you would need to live and do that normally. Backpacks are a big need. We are always in need of twin size sheets, towels, blankets, pillows, basic human needs. Hygiene items are a big thing too.
Sure.
Shower shoes, like those Old Navy flip-flops you can get for really cheap, stuff that they wear in the communal showers. So if they want to donate clothes, they can come to either campus and drop off their clothes Monday through Friday. I'm not sure of the times, they change so often, but I think it's like 8 to 4. Or they can call somebody and let them know they're coming down on a weekend just to drop clothes off. And it's great because you will see people out in the community in some of the same clothes they got from the clothing closet. And it's just really great. People go in there and they feel like they're human again because they're in normal clothes. We have some really nice stuff. Women drop off a ton of nice stuff. And so when the clients get like a new coat and it's like a name brand, it's just exciting because you haven't had anything nice. And so that's great. And then if you're ever wanting to help and support the healing place, donations are a huge thing for us. That's part of my job, so I have to plug that in here. But it costs about $40 a day for somebody to be down there, and that's for us to raise. And that's compared to like the other places, like our jail system is about twice as much as we are, and we provide stuff to, get them out. And so it's a great return on investment when you donate to the Healing Place. So you can donate online, thehealingplace.org/donate. Or if you want to purchase stuff for detox or for the clients, we have an Amazon wish list up. So you can go to the Healing Place and look at that. We have a lot of companies, not a lot, but we have companies that will do like donation drives for us, and it's amazing. So we'll ask for, we ask for a lot of twin size sheets, blankets, and pillows, and towels. And they will do this and collect so much stuff, and we get to go and thank them. So there's plenty of ways you guys anybody in the community can get involved with the Healing Place. And then also just spreading the word about the Healing Place is big for us too, because we are so active in the community. And you think about it, if the Healing Place shut down right now, that's 1,000 men and women that are flooding the streets with using the court system, using, EMS, hospitals, judicial systems, everything. So we're giving 1,000 people a place to stay every night. So If you ever want to learn more, come take a tour. You can serve lunch to our clients. You can sit through one of our community processes, which is on Monday or Friday at 9 a.m. and see our clients and how they interact. And you can just reach out to a staff person at the Healing Place if you ever want to just come down and see it. We love doing that. And the clients, when they're in the program, they love seeing like new faces and people that are just interested in what we do at the Healing Place.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, before we get out of here, I guess you'd mentioned the website. It's is it thehealingplace.org?
Yep. Yes.
So thehealingplace.org, and
Yep.
then men is on Market Street, right?
Yep. 10th and Market.
10th and Market. Women on Hill Street.
Yep. 15th and Hill Street.
Okay, and then you've got the Campbellsville facility as well.
Yep. And that has 100 men out in Campbellsville, Kentucky.
Okay.
Yeah.
And donations accepted,
All the time.
both goods and monetary, I'm
Yes.
sure.
Yep.
So I'd say to folks, share this, get the word out, help us flood the Healing Place with everything they need to keep their great mission.
Yeah, spread the word, and obviously it's a wonderful organization that we have in our city, and it's helping out hundreds of people a year.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Well, Keenan, thanks for coming in.
Thank you
this
very
was
much.
awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you for listening. You can reach us at neal at talkabouttownky.com. Neal is a realtor with Judah Real Estate Group. Chad is a partner at Insura Max. You can reach him at chadh@insuramax.com. Check us out on the web at talkabouttownky.com. Go Cards!